Let's start this session with a concept related to the e-governance. What are the inbuilt facilities you need? Based on that, they can suggest you what are the different advantages of using a customer relationship management is, what are the objectives of the e-service. Hello students, welcome to the next session of the Management Information System. Let's start this session with a concept related to the e-governance or electronic governance. The key process in CRM, that is, we shall continue with some of the concepts of the CRM. The key process under CRM are as follows, that is, one is marketing. Then in this process involves decision regarding which customers to target. Who are the customers we need to target? How to target the customers? What are the different strategies or plans we can use to implement, reach the customers with a particular product? And what products you have to offer for what kind of customer? What is the category of customer we need to reach for the customer, isn't it? If it is spectacles, if it is a product, if it is gold, how you are going to market to the customer? What are the customers you are going to target? How to price the products? What are the different parameters which we can decide promoting or which can help in deciding what is the price of the product? So price of the product includes everything, the production charge, the human resource, the marketing expenditure, every expenditure along with tax and the profit percentage. Everything will be added to get a price for the product. And how to manage the actual campaigns which target the customers. Like today we have so many auras or areas where you can promote a product in a different way, isn't it? Maybe advertisement is the main source of marketing, isn't it? Marketing in advertisements in televisions, in hoardings, in pamphlets, in radios or in internets, in newspapers, print medias, everywhere you can make the marketing, isn't it? So once the marketing is done, next is how to sell the product, okay? The selling of the product focuses on making an actual sale to a customer. How do you sell the product to the customer? Okay, the marketing has been successful. We had followed so many concepts of marketing like street plays or participation or making any competition in the malls. These are the new kinds of promotion. Along with that, having the celebrities, all kinds of marketing you can do. Next is, once the marketing is done, the next thing is how to sell a product to the customer. Okay, it focuses on making an actual sale to a customer. How you are going to sell a product. The sale process includes providing the sale force the information. How do you are promoting or how do you are convincing the customer to purchase that product? That is of concept of selling. How do you make the customer to get a product? If he is not ready to make get the product, the seller must convince the customer to buy the product, even though he is not in a mentality of or not in a condition or not in a feeling to buy that product. You have to convince the customer to get the product. And you have to make a sale and then executing the actual sale. Okay, you have to execute the actual sale by using various strategies. The order management. Next thing is the order management. How do you manage the orders of the customers? Okay, the process of managing the customer orders. How you are going to manage the customer order as they flow through an enterprise is important, because the order management, how do you are going to order manage the order, how you are going to deliver the product. Everything must be done for the customer to track his order. So you have to execute the order. You have not only taking order, you will approach the customer, you will take the orders. Along with the orders, taking the orders, the order management includes confirming that the ordered products are ready for delivery. If they are not ready, making it ready to be delivered, and how you are going to deliver to them. What is the procedure of delivering the product? Okay, and within the time period, that is, if it is promised to deliver by next week, the order management includes how you are going to manage the delivery of the product within the time or on time. On time or within time, how you are going to manage the product delivery. Okay, that is about the order management. In this, along with that, we have the call and services center. Today we have the concept of call centers or service centers, which are mainly related to the customer relationship. It is all about convincing the customer or trying to solve the problems with the customers. Okay, so it is often the primary point of the contact. It is the prime source of contact between a company and its customer. If you have a cell phone, if there is any problem in the cell phone, you can't directly go to the office, you can't directly go to the factory of the mobile and say, I have this problem, you have to solve this. Instead, the easy method of accessing the company for problem solving is calling the customer service center, isn't it? So call center or customer service center. The customer service center or information service center helps the customer to place the orders. Sometimes not all the customer service centers allow you to get the order. Instead, some customer centers only try to solve the problems. It is not doing nothing else. It will try to solve the problem by talking to them or through email, any method, through messages. Today we have the WhatsApps. They can communicate through WhatsApp also or through mail, or you can call the customer care center where an individual will be available and there will be some automated messages through which you can solve the problem. If this problem is not solved with the customer, that is not solved with the automated messages, you will be connected to the individual of the call center or the service center. You can talk to them and you can solve the problem, isn't it? This is one method of the customer service by the call centers. Another thing is, today you can place the orders through the customer care center, isn't it? So maybe booking of a cylinder, maybe some other booking, product booking can be done with the help of the customer service center, isn't it? So they'll give a number, or booking a bus, booking train, booking the flights, all these things which are feasible to be done over online or through a call center or customer service center is all available today, where you can place the orders through the telephones or any mean, by messages or anywhere. Suggest the product. If somebody is confusing, if I'm planning to buy a new car or a new bike, I have approached so many friends, relatives or the families. I have searched in Google, everything I have done with different kinds of cars. Even then, I'm not satisfied with what kind of car I want. What is the need of my requirement? What I need? What is the budget of mine? What is the requirements of mine to purchase a car? What are the minimum requirements I need to have? And what product I have to purchase? I'm in confusion. What I can do? So for this, the customer care center can help you in suggesting a suitable product. They will ask you for the requirements, what kind of car you need, what must be the mileage, whether it is diesel car or petrol car, or today we have the gasoline cars, isn't it? Using the environment friendly fuels, isn't it? What kind of car you want, what must be the mileage, what is your budget, how much you can spend on purchasing of the car, whether it is on loan or by cash you are paying everything. What are the inbuilt facilities you need? Based on that, they can suggest you set of products from which you can select a suitable product. So they can do the suggestion of the products, solves the problems. If there is any problem that is happening in the purchased product, they can help you in solving a problem, and provides information on order status. If you have ordered for something and you are not receiving a product or it is delayed, if you want to inquire that, to whom you are going to inquire, with whom you are going to inquire is the customer care center that we can use. Next is to know about the advantages of the CRM. What are the different advantages of using a customer relationship management is, it provides the better customer service, it increases the customer revenue, discovers new customers. When an old customer or the regular customer is satisfied with your service or the relationship of you with the customer, he may get new customers to your business. Help the sales staff to reach the target. If you have a good relationship, if you are a salesperson, if you have a good contact and good relationship with the customer, it can make you reach the target faster than what you have thought. Okay, you must be able to convince the customer, you must be able to hold on to the present customer and get the new customers to increase the target sales. Then another advantage is simplify the marketing and sales process. Okay, so you have to simplify the marketing and sales process of the business by using the customer relationship management. The next is, what are the disadvantages? Is there any disadvantage of the customer relationship management? Is there? What are those? The first thing is, it will record the loss. Sometimes it may record the loss of the business. Then it will be an overhead. Establishing a call center or service center will need infrastructure as well as the hardware and the related infrastructures as well as the human resource to manage the call center, isn't it? So you need call center services or call center servicemen who are going to attend to the calls of the customer. So it is an overhead over the overall expense of the business. Then you need an extensive training for each of the employee of the call center, how they have to deal with the customer. So again, it is an overhead and an expense over the business. Okay. Next, we shall come on to the next concept, that is to know about the e-governance in the business. What are we going to do with the e-governance? Okay. E-governance is a form of e-business. It is a form of e-business in governance, or you can say management, or holding on or controlling the operations of the organization is a governance, isn't it? So it is a form of e-business in governance comprising of processes and structures involved in deliverance of electronic services or e-services to the public, that is the citizens. So this is how using the electronic resources to provide a delivery of the e-services to the citizens or the customers comes under the concept of e-governance. E-governance has so many concepts like admission management system, attendance, library, examination, infrastructure, transportation, hostel, grievance, redressal. All these are the e-governance related to a education institution. So this is just an example where we can have all the departments included or all the functions of the organization included in one service. Okay, what are the objectives of the e-service? First objective is to build services around citizens' choice, what they want, what are the things they need to be provided by the business. So you have to have the services. You can't have a service which the customer is not necessary. You don't need that kind of service. You can't include that service, isn't it? It is a expense or an expenditure, or it is an useless expenditure, isn't it? So you have to build the services around citizens' choice. If you take the example of the college, what the students want, what is the need of the student in a college? Based on that, you have to build the services. Then make government more accessible. The governing system or the governing body must be easily accessible. You must easily access the services provided by the e-governance. Next is facilitate social inclusion. It must be included in the use of the daily life of the customers. It must be included in the daily usage with the customers. Then provide information responsibly. If a student wants to know the set of books available in the library to a particular subject, related to a particular subject, all the information must be provided. He must be able to access the details of all the books related to one subject. Say if you take accounting related books, index of all those things, details of all those things must be available in the information system, isn't it? So that is providing information responsibly. Next thing is reduce the government spending. It has to reduce the expenditure of the governing body in a system. You can make the picture of a college governing system, how it must be. It has to reduce the spending. There must be someone who has to sit to give the index of the textbook. So you can reduce this task by making it automated, so that with one click, the student will be able to access all the details of the available books. Okay. The next objective is to deliver the online service. It may not be available in every system, every automated system, but today most of the services are available online, isn't it? Your governance or your e-governance must be able to deliver the online services to the customers. Next is to know about the domains of the e-governance. What are the domains that are involved in a e-governance? The first thing is improving the government processes. So there is a scope for improvement in every system, isn't it? Every day, every week or every month, every year, you have to improve the current process that is used in any system, right? So you have to improve the governing process with time. The next domain is cutting the process cost. What is the main intention of having any information system or any automated system? The one major intention of having this e-governance or the automated information system is the cost cutting. Okay, it has to reduce the cost. It is the main advantage every business is looking into. It has to reduce the cost. We are spending almost half of the profit that we have got for paying the employees, for the payroll of the employees. So it has to be avoided. We must get more profit to improvise our business. So what I can do? Instead of 10 employees, the work of 10 employees may be done by only 2 computers. And the thing is, 10 employees must be paid each month. You have to invest on the employees each month. It is a recurring expenditure, isn't it? It is going to increase. You have to give the increment for the next year. You can't keep it as it is. So you have to increase. You have to increase the salary. You have to make him promote. You have to encourage him with different facilities like medical facilities. You need to give the leaves to them. You have to give the medical leaves to them, normal leaves. You have to give so much of benefits to the human resource, isn't it? So instead of that, if you have 2 computers which can do the work of these 10 employees, it reduces so many costs, isn't it? You need to spend some amount at the initial stage while purchasing of the softwares and hardware components. Once it is purchased and is established or fixed in your office and is using, there is no recurring expenditures for the information resource, isn't it? It can work for say 4 to 5 years. It can do it without much expenditure. Only few updates are enough for running the system, and it won't take the leave. It won't take the sick leave. No medical allowance are needed. No provident funds are needed. It won't feel fatigue. It won't say, my work is over, I'm off, isn't it? It can work 24/7. So it reduces the cost and increases the production, isn't it? So that is the main thing in the e-governance. Next is managing the process performance. So the e-governance has to manage the performance of a process or a function that is happening in the business. Then we have the domain of making the strategic connection in government. How you are going to connect the government, which creates the empowerment to the employees, or how does it empowers the governing body. All the details will be available in the e-governance or available in the systems at any time. You need not to wait to get the reports, isn't it? Nobody will be going to cheat you. None of the computers will be able to cheat the humans, isn't it? But a human or an employee who are involved in the organization can cheat on you, can take your documents, can make a fraud in the monetary related services. So all the things are possible. But computers cannot do all those things, isn't it? The automated system will avoid all these risks with the human resource. So it is more advantageous than having a human resource. So it makes the strategic connection in government, which empowers the governing body. Okay. The next thing is, how does the e-governance connect to the citizens? How you are going to connect to the citizens? You can connect to the citizens with the help of e-governance by talking to citizens, by having a regular conversations with the citizens. You can make them convenient with the e-governance. Then listening to citizens. Once you have thought about or told about the importance of the e-governance, how it is going to profit the customers, how it is going to increase the convenience of the customers with the e-governance. Next is to know about the grievance of the citizens about the current e-governance system, how it is going to handle. So today, as we know, government is also using the information system to make most of the services available automated, isn't it? So all property details, the driving licenses, the records related to vehicles, records related to lands, properties, the agriculture related documents, the personal documents like election card, Aadhaar, everything has been came under or segregated under e-governance, isn't it? Everything, almost everything that is related to the personal documents of a citizen will come under e-governance. The first thing you need to do is telling about how your system is working. Next thing is to listen to the problems of the citizen while using this current system. What are the grievances you have with the current system? How you want to improvise this system? Is there any suggestions you can give? Because the citizens may include the expertise in the area, isn't it? So they may suggest that how you can improvise the current system. So along with talking or convincing, it is as important to listen to their voice. How they want, what are the services they want, how, if the service is available, how they can be improvised, whether the citizens are happy with the e-governance system that is implemented. If they are happy, what is the next improvement they expect? Or if they are not happy, what are the things you can do to improvise the system? Everything can be done by listening to the grievances of the citizens. Okay. Next is improving the public service. As I said, there is a scope for improvement in each and every field, isn't it? Nothing is perfect. Every service, every field needs improvement. So what is the scope of the e-governance is? It has to improve its service. Day by day or time by time, it has to improve. It must not become the standing water or stagnant water, isn't it? So it has to improve by time. That is how you can connect to the citizens to make them more comfortable with the e-governance system. Next is building the external interaction with and within the civil society. If you have an e-governance, you must be able to build the external interaction with and within a civil society. How you can do that? First thing is working better with business, making your information system or e-governance working along with your business, not separated from the business. Working along with the business is important. Then next is developing the communities. How you are going to develop the communities? By using the e-governance services. Then building the partnership with other firms or other organizations. It is also as important as building a relationship with the customers or the citizens. This is all about the things that we can discuss about the e-governance. All right. Thank you.